everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In the Booth. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at a project car that we just completed in-house. As you guys know, over the years in one of our past episodes, you can see that we have been very involved with the preservation and the enhancement of the 964 chassis Porsche. And today we're about to go over the latest build from our brainchild, Ed Wang. He's been the procurer of this entire program with Pfaff Tuning and Pfaff Reserve for the last 2 years. This is the latest car, so this is our third production vehicle, which oddly enough is already sold. And we're going to talk a little bit about the car that just finished, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the cars that are upcoming. So without further ado, Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Finally.
Thanks for coming back. I know.
Lots of sleepless nights of coming back here, and finally I'm invited back. But no, all jokes aside, the car just took a very long time, and man, like it was a tough one. It was a tough one. It was a lot of like, we thought the green one was making us nervous. This one was like really, it's like we didn't hold back. So, you know, it was very expensive, and the fact that we're here today looking at it, having driven it and all this kind of stuff, we're very proud. Like, you know, myself, Jimmy, Val, Eric, everybody that touched the car is extremely happy with it. The customer is very happy with it. We're just, you know, I could shed a tear right now, you know, after driving it. It's just a great car. Like, but yeah, so what we have here is a basic 964 C2 that we decided to, I don't like using the word restore because we didn't really restore it, but we definitely upgraded it. And our idea with the whole thing was always been OEM Plus. You know, there's a lot of people doing the 964s. There's, you know, there's the GS. There's the, what's the other one that we had sold with the blue car? What is that one called?
That one wasn't a 964, but still a resto mod based off a 76, I think, 911 3-liter.
So a lot of people doing, you know, old air-cooled stuff, but we just decided to kind of stay focused on what we want to do. A lot of outside noises of like, oh, we should do this, we should do that, we should do, you know, when it comes down to badging or even come down to wheels and all this kind of stuff. But we decided to just do something where how a guy would have maybe modified his car back in the early 90s or late 80s and when he had a 964. So obviously we decided to go with the triple black, the A1 jet black with the black sport seats. Just a beautiful car to begin with. I remember that day when it came in. It was a pretty good car to begin with. It was drivable. It needed a lot of like work and to just be on the road, but it was still a good car. Like, I think a guy had it for a big portion of his life, and the idea came because with the success of the green car and the red car and just our servicing department touching a lot of these 964s, you know, I've always kind of thought, okay, you know what, let's throw some money into a 3.8, you know, like just give it a little bit more of that torque, right? So, and that was the whole idea behind it, and we kind of just went ahead with it. And here we are. We just, this is her. This is Teddy. We name the name actually. Naming it actually came from Jimmy, which I'm very happy about. So moving forward, all of our builds are actually going to have a name for it. So it's kind of cool. So this is referred as Teddy. We don't call it a 3.8. We don't call it a C2, where when we were building it and stuff like that, we were referring it to a 3.8, but now it's Teddy, and it's a good move. So good job, Jimmy.
Yeah, I just wanted to give the cars a bit of an identity, and you know, I think it's really important that we start branding these cars, because I think we're starting to do something that's a little bit more unique. One of the things that I love that you're doing with the projects is, you know, a lot of big 3.8 builds, twin plug head engine cars and stuff like that are always built, and a lot of guys are very seduced by the whole backdate situation. Yeah. And as much as a backdate is cool, I love a 964 in its purity. And I remember when we first became a Singer agent, I came up to them and I was like, will you guys build the whole car, but I want it to look like a regular 964, and they wouldn't do it. So obviously they need to stick true to what they do, and I think that's why it's very important that given the engine size, the suspension work, and everything that's gone into this particular car, is so important that it still looks quintessentially 964. Just to touch on a little bit of the things that obviously through the production of this car, it's very, very important to know when we start a build like this, the car comes in, you know, the car arrived, it was in fairly good shape. It was very close to just being a good driver, it really didn't need much. But the process that we put the car through is quite vigorous, right? The car is inspected. We check the points on terms of the chassis, make sure that the chassis integrity is good. Like all these different things to make sure that we have a good straight body. So even if we're starting a car that has a few claims on it or whatever, and I'm sure if you look at a few Singer builds, you'll see some pretty hairy pasts before they go to the level of their recreation. No different, we vet these cars to make sure that we got a good solid chassis, and from there we start to implement everything. So I know that we have a few standard features that go into your builds, which include obviously the suspension package this car has, the paint finishing work that happens to the car, the interior work, and then the overall engine freshening. But can you tell us a little bit more about the three options that this particular car has above and beyond?
So the three options on this car obviously is the 3.8. You know, that's where the crown jewel is. This car is also blessed with brand new speed lines from Porsche. They're genuine speed lines with the polish centers. So that is something that we decided to upgrade to the car. Originally we had BBSs on them, but they just didn't really look right. And also it was taking it really apart from, away from us making it OEM Porsche product. So we decided to put these speed lines on them instead. They actually have, you can't really see them clearly, but if you know that they actually have turbo big red brakes on them. So that's an upgrade for them as well. But we decided just to kind of paint them into to black, just to kind of, you know, continue with that OEM finish, because it would look kind of weird that it would have red brakes and they're big, because they're not really from that era, right? So it would have just looked kind of weird. So those are really three of the big options that this car was able to benefit from. And moving forward, like our next project car, which we've already signed off and we're already on the way to go. We have a C2 ready to go, and that project name is going to be called Cooper. So that one is going to be pretty interesting as well. And the streamline of everything is much better now. Like, you know, Eric is able to just go, okay, well, this is how much it's gonna cost. Whereas this one was obviously, you know, 2-3 times the budget that we thought it was gonna be. But, you know, and it's incredible. It's just like we're doing something special here, right? But to your point of the past of the car, like, yes, some of these cars do have, you know, pretty hairy past, right? Like even this one had some sort of like, I think it was like a vandalism or something like that. But as dealers, those are usually sensitive topics from when we buy and sell cars. But it's funny because me standing here as a consumer and I'm looking at what I have in front of me, those kind of stuff kind of go away, because knowing that we actually check through the car and make sure that, okay, there was a $20,000 car-proof hit on the right side. Okay, what really was it? Was it just a fender repair, or is it the frame damage? So the fact that we're able to see what it is, strip it down, and really go, you know what, this car is good, and present a car as what it sits right here. I think those things are really nice in the sense that we just built a new old car, right? So it's kind of, you know, interesting that way. And obviously we do the proper break-ins. We want to provide a turnkey car. So
key reliability, super key.
Yeah. So, you know, like this car should drive up to 50, 60, 100,000 kilometers with proper servicing, no problem, right? They shouldn't give you any kind of issues, right? So a little bit about the car. I mean, obviously it did come pretty good, but we still didn't need to do a proper paint job on the car. So just really elevate that A1 jet black color. Obviously this car was also very blessed with, you know, factory black sport seats. You know, the moment I love sport seats. Like I think whenever I see 993 with sport seats or 964 sport seats, it just makes me want to buy it and do something with it. When they have the regular non-bolster seats, they're a little, they're just a little, it needs to be upgraded. Like the car needs to have that. So this particular car, we wanted to do a touring build. So, radio. The rear seats are still there. The original leather seats are still there. So we wanted something that is more of a car that you could drive, play the radio, and enjoy with your family, everybody, all your passengers, and all that kind of stuff. So obviously we upgraded to this Porsche Classic radio. Our signature Momo steering wheel is something that we've decided to continue on to our build. There's and this particular one actually says Porsche on it. I don't know where Piero ordered that one, but that's a very, very cool touch. Just that little bit of like Porsche OEM detail that's really, really nice. Yeah, this car actually has 150,000 kilometers on it. It's not low.
Nothing really has 150,000 kilometers on it anymore.
Exactly. So just stuff that we touch and stuff like that. We decided to upgrade. The switches, the shifter, and all this kind of stuff. We wanted to just kind of keep the nostalgic kind of sheen that the leather seat still has, so you still feel like you're coming into a sort of a classic car. So yeah, it was a sort of stars that are aligned kind of car for this one. And obviously we have the signature painted brake ducts for this car. We do that on all of our builds. I love them because it just breaks off that, for lack of a better term, old look, because it has this big turn signal there. So now it looks a little bit more modern, and it looks a little bit more engineered and high performance, and it works. And I love how it actually works, because
I love the ducting work that the guys plumbed through there. These are fully functional brake ducts. They go right into the braking system. Very intricate tubing and all these nice rivets holding everything together. I gotta say, when Val makes that part of the car, you know what I mean, very, very nice.
Yeah, and we're actually doing a lot of them on customers' cars too now. So it's just a nice look, and it works, which is great. And these brakes, ideally, if you think about them, they are bigger brakes, so it'd be nice to have a little bit of highly engineered cooling system for them too. But these brakes are incredible. They're way too powerful for this. They're too strong. I knew they were going to be very strong, but I didn't know they were going to be that strong.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think there's no such thing as too strong anything. If you're going to take this car for a nice day of lapping at Mo Sport or something like that, nice, good, easy track, when you're getting deep into the back of the back straight, at the end of the day, if you can stay on the power longer, and you got the brakes to support getting the car into the corner, then that's always going to be a benefit. So as much as the brakes are super strong, it's definitely not something you're going to drive and feel. And having experienced the car and driving it now, it's like you can't get enough, right? Man, like I want every car I own to have brakes as strong as, like, the initial bite that these things have is just crazy. Never mind the braking performance on the long part. Like, just as soon as you touch the pedal, this thing is immediately, the binders are on and the car's tucking you in. It's very, very, very powerful. I think our internal target when we built the 3.8 was to get to the 285 to 290 not wheel horsepower, but crank horsepower off the 3.8. And I gotta say, Val really took a very, very, very clear initiative that he didn't want the engine to be too heavy internally, and he didn't want to sort of overweight a lot of the drivetrain. So when I spoke to him about the motor, it wasn't just about the 3.8, the updated compression that the car got, because it got a full point higher in compression, 200 cc's more engine volume, and then from there, the timing of the factory camshafts that he put together and the mild port to the cylinder heads, he was able to just create this very, very, very internally light motor. Between the rods he selected, the machine work that was done to the crank, all this stuff really, really helps elevate it. And you got to hear this thing with the super light flywheel attached to it. Like, it's super revvy, very light. And the engine actually exceeded our expectations by over 25 horsepower. The car actually resulted in 305 horsepower at the crank. perfect level. If I was to compare it, I drove my 996 today, my 2004 996, and the power delivery is matching that. So basically what you have here is a naturally aspirated 911 that probably pulls just about as good as a turbo of the same generation, but without the lag, and you got a lot of torque on the bottom. And then what the beautiful part is when that secondary flap on the intake opens in the plenum, you get that nice burst, and it carries all the way to 7,000 RPM. The engine is a jewel in this car. That's the way I would describe it.
Yeah, and like you know, with you know, where my side of everything was just this time. Val wanted to do, like he you know, he sat down with me, he goes, hey, if you want to do this 3.8, you got to do it right. You can't cheap out on the single mass. You can't, like, the exhaust and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we went out. So like underneath, I mean, we'll have a picture up there for sure, but underneath the thing just looks like just jewelry, basically, right? The single mass flywheel, that little chatter in the back, those are exactly the things that I wanted when I was talking about. It's like, I want that, like I just want that.
You want to hear the
sound.
release bearing clattering around, all
Exactly.
that stuff.
And we were able to execute that perfectly. The car is executed perfectly, like in every single aspect. And you know, like, yeah, I have a 91 turbo, and you know, obviously did some work to it and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely,
it will hang with it. Maybe not going to be as fast, but certainly going to hang with it, you know? Yeah. And then this engine program doesn't just rely on this long block modification, like the full equal length headers going to the exhaust system, then a completely revamped intake manifold, which basically comes from a 996 GT3 generation motor with the bigger flaps inside, and then going to a round mass airflow sensor conversion. So we got rid of the old flap, which really blocks all the air coming in, and it goes right to a factory airbox. So what's beautiful is you'll pop the lid on this thing. Let's have a look at it, because it's just gorgeous under there, man. And nothing like a set of fresh shocks back there. So as soon as you pop it open, it just launches up like that.
those are the small little details, right? You don't want to miss anything.
You wouldn't look at this motor and necessarily say that you see anything too modified. You know, the car's got a very stock look, has the signature painted fan blade, which I love here. Yeah. All the nickel plating that's been redone on this to give it a full fresh look. And I love the fact that we selected to go with a factory airbox despite the conversion of the mass airflow, because then we were able, it just looks like a manufacturer level car. Correct. You know what I mean? Correct. And you know, once you see cone air filters and, you know, chrome pipes in the engine bay, yeah. Maybe it was cool in the 90s when we all wanted to look racy, but today as we mature and get older, you want the stuff to look as factory as possible.
And like this is the thing with this car, is like, we wanted to achieve something that you as a driver, you know, right? It doesn't say 3.8 in the back. It doesn't say, like, you know, whatever on it. You know, it just, when you drive it, you know you're driving a 3.8. You know that I got special suspension, big reds. So that was something that we wanted to achieve. And obviously the price is a you know, if it makes any sense, it's a mature price, right? So we're not really looking to you know, have this dog's breakfast of like of a car. Not saying there's anything wrong with them. Customization, like Singer and all these guys, they're great, but we want to make it something that's just like how it was that time. So, and then obviously we did these badgings that were custom made, and I think that's super cool. Yeah. And it matches with all the new stickers and all that kind of stuff. It's just nice to, if you have your buddy open and you show open, sure. Oh, that is really cool. A Teddy, like 3.8. Oh, why is, you know, it's just the little details, like, you know, like small stuff like this, like even these lights working.
Yeah, 100%.
It just makes
all
the
has
car
to click and work, and
it has
100%.
It has to work. Yeah.
I gotta say the suspension package that we've put together for this car dynamically behind the wheel, I feel like we've achieved a really good level of compliance and like good road manners. The car is not gonna break your back. It definitely is a very touring feel all the way through, and I love that, you know, from the beautiful new carpets inside to the full leather interior to the nice 3-piece wheels, like everything here is touring. We didn't go too far. You do have that raspy RS kind of sensation, but then going back to the chassis, I just find it so compliant. And then when you throw it into a corner, those sway bars just really hold the car very flat, and the car is like almost like on a pendulum, and you basically just get to decide through the gas input or your steering input what the car is going to do next, and it does exactly what you're expecting it to do, you know?
And yeah, we're super excited for the next one. It's going to be expensive. It's going to take a very long time, you know, but we're ready for it. Now, like, you know, you have in your mind.
Processes are streamlining with every car.
Yeah, it's never like, Eric, why isn't Val doing it? Why is it's like, okay, I know this is going to take this car took almost two years. I mean, with COVID and all that kind of stuff. I understand that part, but it was very, very.
But you know, we're also trying to do this while we're trying to run a regular business, right? We're not an engine, you know, we're not a car building a plant, you know what I mean? We don't manufacture vehicles, but we want to offer in the Canadian market something that's very special, something that's stood behind, you know what I mean? I know there's a lot of prominent good shops in Canada. I'm not going to take anything away from some of the other big players who know what they're doing with air-cooled 911, but you know what I mean? I'm going to say that we have the financial backing to protect our clients and make sure that when the cars go out, they're perfect. And if something happens, we're going to stand behind our product. You know what I mean? So that's hugely important, I think, when you're considering buying a car like this. And you know, as you know, with everything, anything can go wrong, but within a reasonable amount of time, we're always going to step in and save the day. You know?
And it's cool, and we're making a lot of investment in it. Like you know, like Val's getting a separate room just for his engine build now, and you know, we're stockpiling these Speedline wheels right now. I mean, there's only like a couple of sets in North America right now. Every single one we can get. We have 2 rear sets right now. So, you know, even these brakes, if we find a wrecked, you know, 993 C4 or turbo, we're going to take these parts. Like, there's a lot of investment that goes into it that they're just money sitting, waiting to put onto the right car. But I just love how, like, this all happened so, like, organically, because, you know, we have Singer. There's a lot of 964s. I actually never even really liked 964, and we talked about in his last video. I was always a 993 guy, but as I got older and older, I just love 964s. I love it. I love it more than a 993. So I just feel like it's just such a sweet, sweet story that we just kind of organically came to this, and we came to an incredible product. As you mentioned, it is sold. We're and it's going to a really good customer here in Toronto, so we're very, very happy about that. And yeah, it's amazing.
Is Cooper going to be a touring, or is Cooper going to be more NGT? Like, what direction are you going in?
Cooper is going to be more of a GT3 this time. So we're talking radio delete, buckets, rear seat delete. Pretty much same suspension setup, same braking setup, and wheel setup as well, and also a 3.8, the same package, like flywheels and all that kind of stuff. We talked about 4-liter. We even talked about carbon body, you know, because our motorsport department, like the engineering side with Andrew and Steve, they're able to do something like that. But baby steps, I think. Like, I don't think we're there yet. And I think that's going to cost over, like, you know, $600,000.
Yeah, we don't want to price ourselves out of the market or out of touch. You know, we want to make sure our clients are protected with what they purchase. And of course, those things are very beautiful, you know, elements to add to the car. But I do agree with you, you know what I mean? I think we want to make sure that it's an attainable project. And it works for people, and it's something that is value protected, I guess, is what I'll say. You know what I mean?
It's the value thing is another organic thing too, right? Like, we go into these things blind, right? Like, we literally, even the green car, the red car, the green car was more. The red car was kind of like a starting that we did quite a bit of changes. The green car was like a full build, and then this, we never looked at what is that selling for, how many are for sale. We just kind of go in blindly and then hope that somebody would buy it, and you know, and it worked out every single time, because I think they understand. Like, I
think you shouldn't be shy about that. You hit, I think, all your performance targets and like finishing targets for this car. And you know what? I know you think maybe it's luck, but I don't think it's luck. I think you built a fantastic car here, Ed, and I think it shows for how it worked. And yeah, so Thank you guys. Thank you, Ed. Thanks for coming on the show and telling us about Teddy. And Teddy is finished and going to its new owner later today, actually. Cooper is now going to start its transition to a big 3A car, and we're really excited to see that car. And you'll probably be able to follow Instagram, etc., on Pfaff Reserve to see its progression and how the car builds. And for you guys that own a 964, if you're in Canada or in the GTA area, we're happy to apply these types of programs to your car through Pfaff Tuning. So everything is kind of there and able to do. And so definitely hit us up if you got a good price point 964 you bought 5-6 years ago. You're in a great position to make an investment like this because it seems to carry on quite heavily. So again, guys, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, send it to your friends, and we'll see you here for the next one. Thanks.